very, very unique for an industry to ask for that, because most industries go, oh no, we don't want to be regulated, go away. But we actually have the problem that there's no proper regulation in place that says what's allowed and what's not allowed to do with these drones. So in this particular case, there was a political event where the German Chancellor was talking, like doing some public speaking stuff. And obviously she wanted to get re-elected, so she always has to smile, it doesn't matter what happens. And at that time, there was a parrot drone. I had the name of the company on the previous slide. They basically build like sort of toy drones. They're really low priced, they're like $2,000 Hong Kong, maybe $3,000 Hong Kong. So we have two of those in the office. I would have bought them and flown them, but they're both broken, because that's what they're built for, right? You start them, you fly 10 times, and then you hit the ceiling or the wall or the shelf or all. So that's what happened here, right? The drone crashed, obviously. It's going down, so they just caught it. So the Chancellor was really, she was kind of like, you know, like our Bloomberg reporter, she was like smiling and, you know, being okay with it. But then the Secretary of Defense at the time, he knew what was coming, right? He was standing there, he's kind of like, oh no, you know, this is not going to be good. Nothing happened, so everything was fine. But, you know, that kind of shows, I think, what is needed, and the safety part, especially for the drone industry, to go forward to actually build proper products and being able to sell these products in markets legally, that is really important. There's a couple of things I believe can be important. If you look at the kind of examples that are mentioned before, where you have automated flying of drones, I believe it's really important to have autopilots or the software and the algorithms that fly them to be properly certified so that they don't crash. Just really quickly, I want to mention that the Federal Aviation Authority in the US, they put out a plan. So by 2015, they're going to regulate the commercial airspace for small unmanned aerial vehicles, which basically puts everything drone related into the legal space, and especially when you look at commercial applications like aerial cinematography, like parcel delivery. All right, I think I have one more. That's it. The sky is the limit. All right. So, any questions? Anyone? Feel free to ask.
So we're going to take one question whilst the panelists sit down over there, while the previous speakers sit in the... is it over there? Ruud, over there?
Yeah, right there.
Yellow. So you're all doing very well. It's Friday. I'm absolutely starving and I'm really thirsty. So I bet you're not. What we're going to do is we're going to take a few questions to Patrick, and then the gentleman, rather slick-looking dude, is going to do his 70s dance, and he's going to facilitate this. So let's pass this over and take some questions.
I think before I even take over, a huge round of applause for all the panelists out there. And of course, and another round of applause for Napoleon, who's taken the time out to come here, and he just kills it always, doesn't he? While the panel, while on the discussions were going on, I was just sitting there and looking back over the last 1 week, how we went about organizing this event, and it's just been a matter of 7 to 10 days that we got this together with the help of the TecHKU engineering students, the TecHK UST, CUHK, and the TecHKU MBA students. So when I sit here, I kind of look into the future and I say, what's going to be next? Am I going to be able to organize something like this in like a day? Then I just got back to this one dialogue that very interesting professor at TecHKU, who's right now here with us, mentioned in class, and he said that the future is now, it's just not evenly distributed. So I'd just like to have him on stage, Professor Abhishek Kathuria. Huge round of applause for him as well, please. So we just saw some interesting drones flying around on the screen, and even it's being just passed around here. Any drone related questions targeted to this wonderful panel here, please?
When you talk about the regulation, you focus on those flight safety. But what about any ethical questions? Say, is there any chance that big company will use it as commercial spy, or the media will form a paparazzi team with guy drone, or even some terrorists will use it as to try to do a mini 911 incident?
Well, you know, I like to compare these things, tools in general, with knives and guns. Well, guns is a different thing because it's not allowed in most countries. But you know, you can go down to your next Japan home center and buy your chopping knife and kill someone, right? Obviously, the thing that you have to have in place is if you have a technical, like a technology, you have a device that is where you have control over the platform, you can build this device in a way that it's being as least harmful as possible to other people. But you know, the same as with a car, you know, you can just run over someone if you really want to. So from the harming perspective, you can always pull a kamikaze and just, you know, hit into someone. But from a privacy perspective, I think that's also one part that you might be looking at is there's definitely some concern about that, especially in Hong Kong where you have tall buildings and it's all glass, and not many people use drapes or anything because it's, you know, if you have a really nice place, you have no building in front of you, so you don't really close up that much. Then I believe that is something that might be regulated, might not be, because you can also go on a helicopter and can fly around and take photos. What people do and is partly illegal, but there are different aspects to security and privacy that definitely have to be addressed by the right authorities, I believe. Does it answer your question? A little bit.
Can we have gangs of drones like the triads? Can we have like the 14K attacking the 21K or whatever it is with a drone and just attach a big knife to it? You did say knife, right? So can we just have
it could happen.
Swarms? It could turn it into a game. It could be like a video game that becomes real, where the swarm of drones attach each other.
Actually, you know, that Parrot company that's building these toy drones, they have apps. Obviously, everyone tries to build a platform and an ecosystem behind it. Off the back is your favorite choice of phrasing it. So they do that, right? So you can hunt yourself down like each other. You have two drones, and then you can fly a race and these kinds of
things. Sounds like the gaming industry could make some really fun, right? You make some great games. You don't have to necessarily go around and kill people in blood.
But actually, you know, as you mentioned, gaming industry. You know,
gaming industry seems very. You know, I mean, in Hong Kong, you can go and shoot at each other.
Yeah.
Right. Blood pellets. You can shoot at each other. So why not do it with a drone?
You know, we actually integrate a virtual reality system with our camera system. So you have a virtual reality class. It's called Oculus Rift, and you put it on, and basically you see in 3D what the camera is seeing.
Can you operate the drone with your eye movements?
You can operate the camera with your head movement, yes. So you can move your head up and down, left and right, and the camera moves. There's going to be a
virtual sex.
Yeah.
I had to say something rude. He asked me to, right? Students, they're not allowed to talk about these things.
I've heard that before, though.
Yeah. But I come from England, where we were terrified by you lot because you built these big balloons that were supposed to come across and shoot at us, right? The Zeppelins. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Were they drones? Were the Zeppelins drones?
No, because they were operated, right? So they had someone sitting in there actually flying. So it's not really a drone. But as you bring up the UK is one of the most advanced, one of the countries of the most advanced regulatory.
Police state. It's known for having more cameras per person than any other country in the world.
Maybe that's tied to it, but they have proper regulations in place for unmanned aircrafts. So you get a pilot's license there. You can certify your drone. You go. It's like an MOT in Hong Kong, right? You go there, they look at it. Oh, okay, everything proper. No cable loose.
I could see a really good business between here and Macau, right? Delivering coins across to Macau. You're there. Oh God. Die out here! And they, it's a great laundering thing, actually. I could launder so much money with a drone. Forget about those stripy bags, right? The blue and red thing.
Yeah.
We could launder money with a drone. Brilliant. He agrees with me. He can sponsor.
We had some people from Mexico actually asking about the distance and
They just arrested that bloke. They arrested him.
We stopped asking details.
So, should we move on from drones?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I think the prof is going to take the mic.
All right, thank you. Well, before I start, a big shout out to all the HKU IOM folks I see around here, the HKU ISAD folks I see back there as well. Lots of people, lots of folks I recognize, and lots of folks I don't recognize, which is even better. We've heard some wonderful, insights. Something that I also say in class is that technology changes the art of the possible. Again, it's not my original quote, I just like to say it. But we've clearly seen a lot of examples of how technology can change the art of the possible, right? And let's talk a little bit, about the convergence of all these different aspects or different technologies we've seen, because that's something which is going to really excite us. But before I go to those kinds of questions that I have in mind, I think there are still a few questions people might have regarding drones. So anybody in the audience still have a question or two about drones?
Sorry to interrupt, but we have some really cool prizes here for people who have very interesting questions which make even the panel here start thinking. So we've got some Evernote premium vouchers here. You get 1 month or 3 months of Evernote premium. It's really premium, yeah. There's this amazing Evernote Moleskine. Troy will explain how this actually works. But this is going to go out to the people who left out their cards, and we probably get a lucky draw from that. And we have some flashy Easy Taxi t-shirts here. So let's get going. I mean, we just need some really good questions around it.
What have you already asked?
You can participate. I mean, you missed out.
Come up with another one.
Maybe we've got one from the money launderer.
So, how easy would it be to jam the frequency for the drones? Yeah, to secure your perimeter.
Brilliant question. I reckon.
Defensively.
Yeah, I think.
Very easy. You might have seen it on one slide. The standard old school drones are operated over a 2.4 gigahertz and 5.8 gigahertz frequency. That's frequencies your microwave uses, right? It's also the frequency Wi-Fi uses, Bluetooth uses, and these are the frequencies that are unregulated in almost all countries. And obviously, if you're flying a drone and someone's coming with, it's so-called, we call it an analog signal, right? So if someone's coming with a different remote that is much stronger, has more output power, they could theoretically overtake your drone and then steer it, which is not very good, right? There are, if it's autonomous, then it doesn't need to have a signal exactly, but you might want to transmit stuff like video, right? So this is what we do, and that's why we built our system based on the cellular network, on 4G, 3G, 4G. and LTE networks, which is completely digital, and our system is highly encrypted, so you cannot hack into it. So the advantage is clear, like you can't intercept that connection. There are newer technologies in the analog signal field that make communication to drones or any other device more secure, but you have the problem that you're limited in frequency, so you're limited in bandwidth, so you cannot transmit a lot of data at the same time. And some technologies out there can transmit a lot of data, but they do something that's called frequency hopping, so they use different kinds of frequencies, a really wide range of them, and some use a lot of, some people call it illegal frequencies, but it's more like frequencies that are reserved to be used by the military mostly. And those military systems, they use that, but they're bloody expensive.
We'll take more questions of drones after a little while. First, we'll just go for one question, which I think every one of you could answer. See, one thing that's happened is a lot of this technology is being enabled by the fact that we have a very powerful computer in our pockets, a smartphone, and we also have extremely high bandwidth wireless communication available to us. But there are still limitations to this, right? And I'm sure all of you work in your field with those limitations. Assuming for now, if we take those limitations away, bandwidth limitations away, limitations in terms of the processing capacity of the smartphone away, how do you think that will change your the technology you offer, and how will that, looking five years into the future when these limitations are there, where do you see yourself or your business going? That technology change in the future.
I think that answer, the man in the red shirt, you're the one who's most advanced amongst all of us.
I think it's the thing that I touched on a bit earlier. I think we will very shortly get to a situation where our mobile device is the only device that we interact with. Right. As I said, to me, it's not even bandwidth that's the issue. It's the balance of battery power and performance at the moment. Especially in Hong Kong, we have great bandwidth. Right. I have 100 meg fiber at home. If you're in like one of these backward countries like the US, it's not that good. But at least here in Hong Kong, it's great. Right? I'm going to slightly dodge that question and saying, from my point of view, bandwidth is less of an issue. It's more about the battery. Once we actually can get batteries that will probably work for several days, then I think that opens up a lot more.
I've been in Hong Kong 20 years, and I remember when the mobile phone first came out, it was a fashion item, right? You wore it around your neck, right? There's flip phones. Like you got on the MTR and it was like,